This is as good a day as any to start the rebuilding of life. The roads that lay open are many when the old one's gone under the knife. And I can feel the sun on my skin, beginning to thaw from within.
Good morning, guys. How are we doing? As you can see, I've come down to the beach today. So we're in a place called Goring or Ferring, I think between the two actually. And we're going to be running along the coast today, actually that way. We're going to go up towards Worthing Pier, and we'll probably turn around about there and then come back. Not quite sure how far that's going to be actually, so may end up going a bit longer, but we'll see. It's a beautiful morning, but absolutely freezing. Let me just turn you around so you can see how to see. As you can see, the tide's way out at the moment. But yeah, I'm quite looking forward to this morning. I've got up, as you can see, dead early. I actually got up at 4:45 to come down here, just so that we could make it in time for sunrise, which is going to happen behind us. But actually we'll be running towards it very shortly. Today is day, oh wow, actually, let's have a look over there. You can see, hopefully around here somewhere, the sun's coming up right now. Day 38 of my run streak. So running at least every day, at least a mile, but actually I've actually so far never actually done less than 2.5 miles. So today I think we're probably going to end up doing about 10k, something like that anyway. And today throughout the run I'm going to talk about something maybe quite triggering for some people, and it's about my decision 2.5 years ago to quit alcohol, and essentially what that's done for me, and how life's been since quitting alcohol. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, talk about some things that may be a bit triggering to some people if they've got any kind of issues or addiction or whatever with alcohol. But hopefully some of the stuff I'll talk about might help some people, and of course if you've got any questions about anything that I'm going to say, then do me a favour, stick your name in the comments and I'll get back to you. Right, let's go. So just so you know, although it looks pretty nice, it is freezing this morning, and it's bloody the 20th of April or something like that. In England it should be at least a little bit warmer than it is now. I think this morning it's like 5 degrees, and there's one of those lazy winds that just goes right through you, as they say. So it's freezing, and I wish I'd bought my gloves. So it's good that I'm running, because at least we're hopefully going to warm up a little bit. So today we're doing a base run, and we're going to actually be taking it really easy today. Only doing 9.5 roughly minute miles, and so yeah, we'll probably do about 10k I think. I didn't actually map out how far it was, and we'll see how we feel. We'll keep going, and if it's not as far as we think to the pier, then we'll just go a bit further. Today is Sunday, and it's usually the day that runners do their long run, and generally I do my long run on a Saturday actually, and today's actually a day where a lot of people are going to be doing a very long run, because it's the day of the London Marathon. So, not sure if anybody who's doing the London Marathon would be watching this video, but if you are and you're doing it today or did it today, then either good luck or I hope it went well. Anyway, let's go. So I've just stopped for a minute just to talk a little bit about the purpose of this video really, and of course the idea is that we're creating a little log, if you like, of my running and my running journey. And as I mentioned, today is day 38 of my running every day. So I've decided that the I guess mini series, for as long as this lasts, is going to be called the Consistency Chronicles, because it is all about consistency. But today's topic is more along the lines of my decision 2.5 years ago to quit alcohol, and really what that's done for me and some of the effects that it's had on my life and the differences it's made to me over that period of time. So today is day 911, I believe, of me being completely alcohol free, and I was definitely this is what I used to look like, and I would definitely say I was a heavy drinker. I was somebody that relied on alcohol for all the wrong reasons. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, but I need to keep running. It's absolutely freezing here, so I'll run a bit further and crack on with telling you a little bit about my experience and some of the things that I use in order to help me along the way. So let's go. So we're coming into Worthing now. You can see Worthing Pier, and I think we're only about 1.5 miles in, so we're going to actually go a bit further than the pier. I thought it was a bit further than that. It's lovely down here this time of the morning because there's hardly anyone around, and there's this lovely flat tarmac surface to run on that takes you, actually I don't know how far it takes you, but I think you can get right up towards Little Hampton, Shoreham and other places. So yeah, it's nice to come running down here, and nice as it's very, very flat. So it's just going to stop again. So we're about 2 miles and a bit, and as you can see, we've just gone past, for those of you who don't recognise that, Worthing Pier. And yeah, we're doing about 9 minute 10 miles, so that's not too bad at all. And a lot of that actually is because it's so freezing. I wanted to go a bit quicker because I'm so cold. Anyway, back to the topic of the video, and why did I make a decision 2.5 years ago to stop drinking when alcohol was a really integral part of my life, if I'm honest. I mean, I'm a very social, or at least I was a very social guy. Spent a lot of time out with my friends, and a lot of time socialising with either my wife and friends, or going out with the boys. And I think if you could ask any of my friends if and who's going to be the life and soul of the party, they would probably say, actually they wouldn't say me first, they'd say Stingray first, but after Stingray they'd probably put me up there as a close second. So it was a big part of my life, and it was a big decision to make actually, but when I can tell you a little bit about why, it will start to make sense.
She didn't love you back. All she did was leave a hole in your chest. You didn't get that job, even though you really gave it your best. And now you wonder
So I've turned around now, heading back down towards the pier again. I guess I better get to the topic of the video, because over halfway I haven't really said very much. Anyway, so 2.5 years ago, I made the decision to completely stop and quit alcohol for good, and that's not an easy thing to do, especially in the Western society that we live in. It's very much the norm for everyone to drink, and certainly was for me. So it's not an easy thing to quit, given how much it's promoted, how many adverts you see, and I guess how much and how reliant the government are on the revenues from taxes. It's actually not in their interest for people to make a decision like this anyway. So, but 2.5 years ago, I was in a pretty dark place. Had an awful lot going for me. Great family, great house, great job, supportive people around me. But inside I was a little bit lost, and as a result making an awful lot of poor decisions about my health, about the way that I treated myself and probably others, and it all ended up stemming in a health scare which thankfully for me wasn't as bad as what it could have been, but it did make me realise that we're not immortal, and we're not going to live forever. So I had a good hard look at myself and realised how, I guess, disappointed in myself I am, or was, and how the man I was becoming, you know, I had, don't get me wrong, I wasn't a bad person, but I certainly wasn't at peace with myself, and just didn't feel very authentic to who I wanted to be. So I used that health scare as a bit of a sort of deepest and darkest moment, if you like, and decided there and then that it was time to make some big decisions. And quitting alcohol was a big one, but it wasn't the only one actually. There was quite a few things that I was not quite happy with, but ultimately alcohol plays a big part in that, because alcohol being a depressant and all the effects it has on your body and your mindset, and generally how motivated you are to do pretty much anything, it's difficult to make some of those other changes without cutting alcohol out. So let me tell you a bit about that, but we're going to run about another mile and then I'll do that.
If you hold on now and remember that the only way is up from here.
Okay, we're 4.2 miles in and it is still freezing. Not sure if I mentioned that, but it is cold. It's the wind, but it's absolutely beautiful. Really, really clear, and a pleasure to be down here, getting up early. Most people think I'm absolutely mental for getting up at 4:45 on a Sunday morning, but for me, I get to see all this, and you don't. So as far as I'm concerned, I win. So 2.5 years ago, I knew I needed to make some changes, and alcohol was a pretty big one of them, because I knew that it would start a chain of events that would ultimately make improvements in many different places in my life. So first and foremost, I knew that mindset is a really important part of really doing anything new, really, but you've got to believe in it. You've got to really commit to making a change. So I knew that if my mindset was not in the right place, that I wouldn't end up being successful, which is certainly not what we wanted. So made a commitment to myself really that I would have some non-negotiables. So from that day, 911 days ago, I made a commitment that I would never ever drink alcohol again, and that was a non-negotiable. It was not something that was going to be a consideration whether I was at a party or anything like that. It was, I don't do it anymore, and I'm and that makes things easier, right? If you've not got this thing in your mind which says, oh, will I do it, or I'm going to try to do it, then you're creating that little bit of doubt in your own mind. And as soon as you have doubt, especially for something like whether it's an addiction or anything else, right, as soon as you give yourself a little out, then you're not going to be successful. So you've got to make it a non-negotiable. And I also made non-negotiables around educating myself around my headspace, why I was feeling like I was, what alcohol does to somebody in terms of the effects, long-term effects, short-term effects, what it does to your body. And I'm going to recommend some books. So up here I'm going to put a link to a couple of books. The most important book or audiobook that I read as part of my journey was a book called Alcohol Explained by William Porter, and there's also a second edition out now as well. So if you want the hard facts and to understand really what alcohol does and not be swayed by any of the crap that you either see on telly or what your friends tell you or what you see as the norm, then read this book and it will really open your eyes. A couple of others is This Naked Mind by a lady called Annie Grace, and there's also a bit of a different spin, but a book called Alcohol Lied to Me, which is an account of a guy, sorry I can't remember his name, but I'll put it up, a link to the book here, and you'll be able to see his name there. But it's an interesting account of somebody who has been through a lot of heartache and pain through his journey for alcohol, and he was much like anybody else when you're in that position where he didn't admit that he had a problem, and that was me for many years. I didn't admit that alcohol had any kind of hold on me and I was in control, and it's absolutely not the case, right? So that's 3 books that I'd highly recommend, that if you are going to either look into cutting your alcohol down or even cutting your alcohol out completely out of your life, then start with these books and have non-negotiables in your. How many of you recognise this scenario, right? You're standing in the shower in the morning after getting an awful night's sleep. You've drunk way too much, probably the empty bottles downstairs, and you're standing in the shower feeling ashamed of yourself, feeling absolutely knackered, thinking, shit, I've got a day of work and I feel like crap. Well, I used to feel like that all the time. I used to call it shower shame, or at least that's what I call it now, where you're just there and you're absolutely mortified that yet again you've managed to get yourself in a position where you've woken up in the morning either completely hungover or at least feeling pretty shit, and you know that you've got a day where you've got to be productive, and the first thing you feel is awful and ashamed of yourself, and that's not a good way to start the day. So if you recognise that, again, that was definitely me about 3 years ago, and I did it on a cycle, right? And I would stand there in the shower and go, shit, I'm not doing this anymore. I feel awful, I hate myself. I wouldn't even look at myself in the mirror because I was ashamed of who I was. And then what alcohol does, and the addiction to alcohol, is slowly but surely it trains your body to expect it. So if any of you have wondered why in the morning you wake up and you go, I'm not drinking it again, and then find yourself with a glass of wine later that evening, it's because the addictive nature of alcohol and what it does to all of your body's kind of natural hormones and things is it creates that addiction. Your body starts to expect it. So even if you think, hey, I'm not going to drink tonight, your body is expecting you to drink, and you'll get the cravings and you get all of the things that would sound crazy if it was a completely different topic, but your body will recover through the day, and then you'll find yourself with another drink. And that was a cycle that I was stuck in for a very long time, and made all sorts of excuses about my job being stressful and this, that and the other, and it was just all bullshit. It was an addiction. It was an addiction that I wasn't admitting. I certainly, I wasn't an alcoholic, but then since learning what I've learned about alcohol, actually the term alcoholic is very it's quite fluid anyway. So you can have someone that's a highly functioning alcoholic who to all intents and purposes has a great job, and outwardly you wouldn't know, but then they get home maybe after work or whatever, and they're pouring a glass of wine or having vodka or whatever and not even realising. So that's what I would term a highly functioning alcoholic. And that you don't have to be someone that's got, sitting on the beach down there with a brown paper bag wrapped around a bottle of whiskey. That that view about what an alcoholic is so warped. And again, it's society is creating this almost like monster to make you think, hey, I've not got a problem. But if you've got anything about you that you find yourself craving alcohol on certainly weekdays or whatever, or you're sitting there, I could really do with a glass of wine. I've had a stressful day at work, and that glass of wine turns into a bottle of wine, then you are on the spectrum of alcohol addiction. And unfortunately that is just a fact. I was there, and the more people admit that they are there, the better. So I should clarify what I mean by that, actually, because it's not the more people the better in the fact that they're there, but more people in the better is better because more people are thinking about it and recognising that they're on a spectrum. So I certainly don't think it's good morning that so many people are caught in this cycle. And again, for the most part, it's not even really people's fault, because culture and society make it normal. So, and what do people want to do? They want to fit in, they want to be normal. Apart from me, I certainly don't want to be normal anymore. And yeah, I just meant that if you recognise that you've got a mild addiction, whether it's mild or even something that goes, why do I feel like I want to drink, there's no real need for it, then it's certainly time to think about whether cutting down or cutting out of it might benefit your life. Okay, the next topic I'm going to talk about is, if you have made the decision to cut down, or you're even thinking about it, then first and foremost, well done. It's not an easy thing to do, and if you are thinking about it, then good on you, well done. But if you do make the decision to cut it out of your life, and you get to what many people call day one, then don't expect it to be easy, right? Your body's become so used to having alcohol, whether it's 1-2 days a week or even 6-7 days a week. So it's going to be quite difficult to get used to cutting it out of your life completely. But what I can say to you, after 2.5 years of not having alcohol, that exponentially everything becomes better, and everything becomes easier. You have to go through a little bit of pain sometimes to get the good things in life. And unfortunately, with, I guess, any addiction, it's hard to get over addiction. So, and there's many types of addiction, out there. Obviously, I'm talking about alcohol today because I've got experience in that. But obviously, there's gambling, there's drugs, there's all sorts of addictions that people can have, and it's not an easy thing to get over if you've had many years of doing it. So it's going to be hard, but the benefits and rewards of changing your life are exponential. And it's not just about cutting out alcohol out of your life, as I said before. It can prompt many other things starting to change in your life, and you might do like I am, taking up running. I've become so committed now to trying to help other people for a variety of reasons, right? But I want to be remembered as somebody that wasn't just the norm, didn't just do the normal things, doing a run streak that's almost 40 days in a row. Not many people do that. Stopping alcohol, cutting alcohol out of your life, not many people do that. Certainly people that have had as many years as I did with it being integral to it. So I want to be remembered as somebody that tries to help people, that tries to do the right thing, and is going to be remembered for the right reasons. And I want to be able to look at myself when I'm older and think, am I proud of who I was and who I became? Certainly not proud about some of the things I've done in the past, but I think that's all part of the journey. That's all part of learning, and it's all part of finding who you are and your place in the world. And all of the things that, you know, I've done, and all of the decisions that I've made, that, you know, retrospectively I would probably do things differently if I had the choice, but perhaps I wouldn't have become who I've become now, and wouldn't be standing here talking to this video camera with everybody walking past me thinking I'm weird. But, you know, it's everyone's on their own journey, but I can promise you that if you do make a change, and certainly if you make a change around alcohol, because alcohol is a depressant, it puts you in a perpetual state of that, you know, a cycle, if you like, of alcohol making you want more alcohol and prioritize alcohol over everything else. And, you know, you hear stories about people that, you know, get so addicted that they end up losing their families, their friends, their houses, everything that they have, and for what? You know, a drink that makes you feel bloody awful. So, you know, cutting that out of your life will bring enormous benefits, and it will allow you to start thinking about who you are and who you're going to become in different ways, and you know, things like how much sleep you're getting. Are you giving yourself enough rest? How are you nutritionally? How are you looking after yourself? Are you fueling yourself in the right way? You know, are you reading? Are you putting everything into your job? Are you being there for your children? Are you being a good husband, if you know, or partner? And all of those things, I think alcohol can make you forget about, and I know that, right? So cutting that out of your life is really going to have enormous benefits, and I couldn't recommend enough that you at least think about it. You know, I'm not going to tell anybody, and you know, you can't tell anybody to stop drinking. People will only stop drinking if it's right for them, and usually there has to be a reason that is stronger than the allure of alcohol itself. So for me, it was, you know, not only that health scare, but also not being proud of who I was, and you know, ultimately wanting to be a much better role model for my family and for my kids, to be able to grow up thinking about me not as the person that's on the sofa all the time with a glass of wine or a glass of vodka or whatever, but actually the guy that gets up at 5 a.m. and goes running and sets very high standards for himself, and then they can aspire to being something more like that, rather than the loser that's just on the sofa. We're going to start running again, because I'm not sure if I mentioned earlier, but it's bloody freezing. Although there is a bit of warmth in the sun now, but it is the 20th of April, so it should be a lot warmer than this. It's 5 degrees at the moment. So going to get running. I think we've got about 1 mile left, and I'll close out the video with some thoughts and tips. And yeah, as always, let me know in the comments if you relate to anything that I've talked about today. Let me know what you think about the notion of sort of breaking up these runs with topics relating to the health journey that I'm currently on and going on, and some of the, I guess, learnings that I've had along the way. So going to run for another mile, and we'll close out the video there. Right. Okay, back at the car now. 6 miles done. Although I accidentally left my watch running where I was messing about with the video a minute ago, so my mile 6 looks as if I've crawled all the way, but I'll put my stats up here like normal. So to close out the video, in terms of the topic, some recommendations, right? So I mentioned some books earlier. Read them. Become comfortable with being vulnerable with yourself. You know, you've got to be honest with yourself in order to really assess what changes you need to make in your life, and set some non-negotiables for yourself, right? Be very clear about what it is that you want to do and what you want to achieve in your life, because with very clear non-negotiables, you know, mine, as I say, not drinking, getting up 5:30 every single day, to come running, to run, to do at least 45 minutes of exercise every day, to always do at least 10,000 steps of walking, to try to do at least half an hour of either reading or audiobooks. All of these things start to stack up, and I've also changed my eating habits and the way that I look at nutrition as well, but I'll cover that in a different video because it's probably another topic in itself. So in terms of the benefits for me, well, I used to be over 100 kilos, I think, at my heaviest, and I'm now 75, right? So obviously there's added benefits with creating a routine around exercise, but even just cutting out alcohol. I mean, alcohol is it cannot be metabolized by the body, so it burns. Your alcohol will be burnt immediately as soon as you drink it, or as over the course of a few hours. So anything you eat during that period of time will be stored as fat. But cutting out alcohol is what people refer to as empty calories, right? Because they can't actually do anything to your body, and your body can't metabolize them. So it just works at burning them off, and that's why you see some people that are heavy drinkers and you see that they've got like a really red face. It's because the body is creating heat to try and burn off that alcohol as quickly as possible. So that's why you see some people that have got red faces and rosalia on their nose and lots of weird red veins in their faces, because the body is fighting against alcohol in that regard. But yeah, I dropped at least 25 kilos. I am much healthier than I used to be. So blood pressure, I think my last blood pressure was 105/62, and my resting heart rate has gone from being sort of in the late 70s down to usually about 52 or 53, and as long as I'm not getting unwell. So and there's an enormous amount of benefits associated with that. I prioritise sleep as well. I'm not sure if I mentioned that earlier, but try to give myself as much chance as I can to get 7.5 to 8 hours of sleep a night. It's not always possible, but certainly you've got to try and prioritise that as well, because that's where your body does all of its recovery. So if you're doing something like I'm doing in terms of running every day, then it's important to give your body an opportunity to recover from that as well. So just a few tips, and in terms of the way that I feel about myself, feel incredible amounts better about who I am, the way that I'm contributing to my life, my family, my friends, contributions I'm making just generally. I mean, I mentioned, I think in my last video, that I ran the London Landmarks half marathon recently and raised about 1,500 quid for Great Ormond Street, and that made me feel very good. And I just want to help people either with topics that I know a little bit about, but even topics that I don't. I do like to help people. So if you have been in any way affected, or it's got you thinking as part of this video, then please do reach out to me. I'm the kind of person that will always respond and always do everything I can to help anybody. So with that, I mean, this topic is one that takes a lot longer than what you can fit onto a single video, but yeah, I'm more than happy to help, to give my thoughts, and however else I can help, let me know. So reach out either through the comments or for a direct message, and for now I'll wish you goodbye. Have a nice rest of the weekend, and see you on the next run.
Today and not tomorrow.